Get the fuck out
Hey,
of there.
everybody. Ooh, Mochi being bad. What's up, and welcome to Laser Source Podcast, #1 podcast. If you like when all of my hosts are gone, except Kyle. Kyle's here. What's up, Kyle?
I'm here. I'm always here. What are you talking
Matt and
about?
Anthony literally just both got up. Matt said he's going to butter a bagel.
I can get you snacks.
And Anthony
Matt's
said he's
gonna
going
butter
to-
his bread.
So I thought that would be a good time to start the show. Welcome to everybody in chat. So glad you guys could join us here live today. See a lot of familiar faces. Good to see you. Tonight's episode is brought to you by a new beverage, guys. Check this out. Spindrift. You ever mess with this, Kyle? You ever have one of these bad boys?
No, I haven't.
Bro, check out this description. Ready? It says, where is it? Okay, it's not on the bottle, but it's on like their marketing. It says, we took like 4 lemons and squeezed it into 8 cans of unsweetened tea, and that's it. And like it's literally that's like all it is, and it's carbonated, and it's got caffeine in it, and it's so good, dude. It's literally just water, but like,
what you drinking?
dude, it's so fucking good. It's called Spindrift. This isn't an ad. My brother turned me onto them. Chris and Rhiannon drink them all the time at the shop, and they're amazing. And so I think that I found like an actual legit Coke replacement.
Oh, boy.
I got some of those like Zevia colas, but those were disgusting. Have you ever had those?
Oh yeah, I like
No
Zevia.
good, dude.
Really?
No, I don't. I do not like the Zevia, dude. It tasted like drinking cola gummies. I was not about it.
I'm not
The
a fan.
root beer is
It tastes
really good.
artificial.
It really
Yeah.
does, yeah. But I'm like,
I prefer this. This is kind of like it's like bitter and like just a little like the aftertaste is like lemon in like a cold soda, you know, like this fresh squeezed lemon where you kind of get like that, you know.
Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking good. It's really, really, really good. 5 calories a can. I'm all about it. So if you haven't had a Spindrift, I guess go try Spindrift. That's not really who the podcast is brought to you by. It's brought to you by Johnson Plastics Plus. Soon to be a new favorite place online to get your blanks. If you're not already doing so, go check out Johnson Plastics Plus. I haven't heard any official news about price increases from them, and I definitely haven't seen any news about price increases from them. That doesn't mean there won't be, but I just haven't heard or seen any sign that that's going to be the case. So at least for now, it seems stable. If you haven't been over there, make sure you check out the link to their shop in the description. It's an affiliate link. It helps support the channel. They do, support the podcast by sponsoring it. So we really appreciate them over there, and I really do want you to go check out their stuff. I just unboxed like 5 boxes that are like, I don't know, like at least 3 feet wide by like 3 feet tall, like cubes of just like shit that they sent over to the shop. I have more bamboo. We're going to do an ultimate bamboo cutting guide for sure, because I've got more bamboo than I know what to do with, which I'm actually looking forward to. And they sent over like journals, and they had like passport cases and bag tags in there. I got more of that glittery acrylic stuff that we made the Christmas tree out of.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Except this time it's amber. It's like an amber color, which is really nice. Anyway, you guys are going to see it tomorrow, literally tomorrow. So make sure you keep an eye on the channel, because Rhiannon and I sat down and unboxed the whole thing on camera for you and gave kind of like initial thoughts about it before we start digging into the box like we did with the last boxes we got. So if you want to see that unboxing, that is going up tomorrow. It's already done being edited. I just didn't want to post it tonight because it was too late, and I didn't want the video to perform poorly because it deserves a better go at life than that. So yeah.
I have a question. How much did you tariff Rhiannon to open that box?
How much did I tariff her?
Yeah, is that how much that? I think that's how tariffs work, right? That's what our
it was 104%. So 104% of the value of the box she had to pay me to open it on camera.
That makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know much about tariffs. I got comfort food to get us through this. So I got a delicious, delectable cinnamon bagel. Kerrygold butter made by Johnson Plastics Plus. Thank you.
Kerrygold. That's the dope stuff right there.
Oh, yeah.
Irish cream. Salted or unsalted?
Oh, salted. What are you kidding me?
There you go,
So
my boy.
to wrap
I like my blood pressure on my bagel.
here,
Thank
guys. Johnson Plastics Plus. Go check them out. Link in the description. Code YLRZDF. Save 15% off almost everything in the store, which just might make up for a tariff increase if there is one. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Unboxing out tomorrow. Keep an eye out for that. It's a great video.
I'm excited to see that.
I'm excited to share it with you. So,
and it's really important, especially in times like this, to support the people that support us. So,
yeah,
I mean,
true that.
They've been there and they've supported this podcast and a lot of makers over a long period of time. So it's, people like them that really deserve our money. So
yeah, I mean, they got us through, all of my product base, and this isn't a continuation of the ad. We're just having a conversation now, but all of like my product base and online sales were like generated by products that they sold to me during like the height of COVID. I know I've said this on the podcast a million times, but the month we signed the lease on our shop was the first month of the COVID lockdown in New York State. Those two things like went hand in hand here. Yeah, and we made it through. And a big part of the reason, obviously not the whole reason, but a big part of the reason was because we had a lot of really awesome creative tools at our disposal, thanks to them when I was just a customer. So I totally agree with that, Anthony. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, how's everybody doing?
Doing. I moved
Yeah,
stuff
everybody got the KY out.
That's where Kelly Gold Butter comes into play.
Kerrygold, it's a whole
that
natural
one too.
Fats that will
do it.
It's called food lube. Food lube.
We've never been political on this podcast, and we're not going to start tonight. But the fact of the matter is,
talking about reality.
New tariffs kick in at midnight, and the last I saw, they're up to 104% on Chinese goods. And this whole industry, whether you guys like it or not, whether you guys want to hear it or not, literally Chinese goods are the charcoal we throw into the steam engine that is this industry. And so everything is going to cost twice as much, literally twice as much, no less than twice as much. And that's a big problem for a lot of people. Anthony and I were talking a bit before the show about just some like strategies we wanted to bring to the table tonight and how to look at this situation in order to present it to people, because that's a big number and it's liable to get worse as time goes on. And the thing I brought up, I guess we'll just go in order that we had the conversation before the show, because that kind of had like a nice mental track to it. But I at first suggested, I'm going to be taking a long, hard look at secondhand goods, right? Mm-hmm. You can't tariff used old shit being sold at a like a secondhand or thrift shop. You just can't. And stuff that's there feels pretty authentic and cool, I think people are really into that. And
yeah, I think reclaimed is a really good keyword.
It's a nice word. Yeah.
A lot of people could start using. Reclaimed has, I think on Etsy, you'll probably, if you typed in just reclaimed on Etsy, you probably get 100 million things that would pop up as reclaimed. And if you start like, a lot of it's going to be like how we can spin our products and services to maximize our ability to serve our customers and give them the things that they want. And using these hot button keywords or whatever you want to call it will give you like an amplified ability to give them what they're asking for and not have to pay out the butt for, stuff that is being taxed right now. So,
well, and I think whether you're helping somebody pick out a font, or you're helping somebody decide what to get as a gift, or you're taking someone's order and they know exactly what they want, I think a big part of this job is like getting people there, realizing what they want, and that is no different. In fact, it's especially true when we're talking about this kind of stuff, because if you market things the right way, and I don't like calling it marketing because it's supposed to be more of like a one-on-one connection between you and the customer. But if you're marketing correctly, you are like telling people that they want this thing for a specific reason, especially when we're talking about reclaimed goods, right? Because it's kind of like a preset item. It's not something that you are making in mass. So I feel like we have to develop those skills to be like, this is the thing that you want for that, you know, and being able to like sell that to them that way, I think is really important when we're discussing this kind of stuff. You know, I had something else I wanted to say before we moved on that was important, and I'm not remembering it, but
I can add to what you were saying. I think
yeah, go ahead.
I think the other thing too is letting people know that there's going to be a premium cost of goods that you can't control to a certain degree, unless their orders are large enough. I also do think that it's good that a lot of companies have gotten out ahead of this. I know JP Plus I've received a letter from, JDS I've received a letter from, any place where you actually have created an account, if you're an account holder. Because while JP Plus, by the way, doesn't require you to have an account, you can create business accounts with them if you contact them and set that up. So it's just one of those things. Long story short, a lot of them have gotten out ahead of this and they knew that it was coming. So I feel like they've ordered some stuff in bulk ahead of all of that to help offset the cost and try to stretch out that thing. So while the turbulence goes, so that might regulate the markets through the end of the year. And this is just purely speculation on my part. But the other thing too is I would not wait until you have to set cost up a little bit. I would go ahead and start thinking about moving it up a little bit at a time from now until Christmas time, you know, because I mean, literally you're going to have to let people know that while you can do that kind of stuff with like the reclaimed and the revamped and like, all, I mean, we can change the words a lot, but a lot of people just want the new thing that they've seen, blah, 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 blah. And that's where it's like, hey, we can do it, but it's going to be at this cost, just so you know. And having that realistic expectation that kind of matches the market around you a little bit. So, you know, always be mindful of that. Just saying.
Well, I think like a big part of that too is like a Yeti is going to be $100. So the reclaimed option doesn't even necessarily have to be a more expensive option. It might be the cheaper alternative. You know, well, we're entering a time where like maybe the custom one-off stuff that is special, that's actually truly special in its own way, might be the cheaper alternative, where the mass-produced item used to be the cheaper alternative. And that's like a weird dynamic.
That's how that works, though. So if you got to think about it, so if the cost of the item is going up, that doesn't mean the price of the item is going up for our end user. So like if a cup costs $7, right, and it doubles in price to 14, but we've been charging 20, like you don't have to have that thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if.
Yeah, but like how many of us are rich?
Right.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like, do you want to lose 33% of your profit on every cup you sell? Can you afford to lose 33% of the profit on every cup you sell? Because you're eating that, or you're
I got you. But that's where I'm saying, like, that's where you're going to have to figure out where can you bear that cost to, unless you just are like, F it, I'm going to afford it all, like send it all. You know, so
and it might be a good time to have a conversation with your clients. Like if they're used to you doing jobs where it's like 20 or 50 or 100 Yetis, be like, okay, well, I have available to me at the same price that Yetis used to come in.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
These things are 90% a Yeti. Like literally, if you look at the insulated cup market, is a really good example of like the insulated cup market. There are literally 0 cups that are made inside the United States. All of them come from like China and Singapore. And so like, and a lot of them are made in the same factory side by side, where you can get a Stanley for $35, or you might get a brand X that has just a slightly different handle and maybe a different straw. And
they use a different powder coat color.
Yeah, potentially. And or they might even use the same ones. And so these you can say, okay, all right, well, we're in a position where now this price has gone up on your Stanleys, or we can use this brand X thing that is
that's what I was
now selling at the price of Yeti. Yeah. And so like you're selling the value of this kind of like what they might consider, but really isn't
what they think is the lesser brand.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of this stuff, like they're made. So use that as a pitch. This is made in essentially the same factory, one of the numerous factories that Stanleys are made in. And so we can use this cup versus the Stanleys that you're used to using. And sure, you're not going to have the little flying horse or whatever on it, but you're still getting a quality cup that's going to be able to keep your drinks cold for 36 hours and hot for 20 or whatever. And so, you know, you have to kind of use that value proposition and just tell them, look, or you can pay the premium and get what you've been getting.
I think to add to that pitch, what you're saying, I think you're spot on. I think you're going to have to do that for them to understand, because they're really going to see like their return on investment that way. Because if your goal is to just have a premium item that has your insignia on it with your name, your connect, you know, if that's your whole goal is to just get stuff out there, this is going to be the way to do that, where it's a good value versus the cost. Like, so I think that's true, because Alex isn't wrong. Like what he's saying is right. Like stuff is going to cost a stupid amount of money, right? But then having them say, okay, here's where you could be in cost, and here's where this could be, where you know what your price is. That's where I guess what I was trying to say was like finding that spot where you're happy with what you can get without feeling like you're gouging your customers, and still being, and that's the other part that's going to be tough too, is there's going to be people who I think are used to doing one-off items, and they're like, I've always sold them for like $20, but like you kind of can't at that point. Like if they're really, that's where you're gonna have to tell people like, my case price is this. Yeah, my case price is this. You should really consider, I only do half cases. So that's another thing to consider too, is raising the fact that you might not make as much on a single item unless you tell them that, or having that set up so that you've got like what you used to make on a case, you make on a half case so that you can make your, you know, your money. There's a lot of different reframing.
The hard thing about that is that we're not selling apples and diapers. You know, like people don't need the stuff that we're selling. That's kind of the brutal, scary part about this. All of the money that we make doing this job is people's expendable income. You know, and the second their expendable income goes away, like we're the first ones on the chopping block. You know, so that's part of where it's like, you know, I really think that, and I don't know, I'm trying to relate this in my head to like the cup thing, because that's what we're talking about right now is fucking cups. It's all everybody's ever talking about is cups. And I'm having a hard time drawing a line between cups and like the secondhand market or the like reclaimed market. But I think that's where that's really going to come in, where you don't necessarily have to say this is going to be a fortune for you because I still need to make money, or do things at a razor thin margin and hope you get enough volume to make it work. Like there's a middle road that involves sourcing things that are like used and inexpensive, rather than buying brand new things and doing better work with those things. And that was the next step that Anthony and I took. Was, you know, Anthony brought up in the middle of that conversation that people are going to have to do better. You know, people are going to have to like do a better job, because you can't just get 50,000, you know, fucking bottle openers for the price that you used to get them at and just slap any old thing on them and push them out the door. It's going to take a more concerted, like thoughtful effort to make a product valuable enough to capture people's expendable income, what little of it they have left, if any. To expand on that, Anthony, you brought up some really good points, and I want everybody else to hear them too.
I had mentioned like this is one of those moments where it's kind of like where we're going to start separating. It's an old school term because I'm old as hell, but whatever. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff. So this is where you, being a professional and a person who uses their artistic creativity to do their job, is going to separate you from the people that just crank out a bunch of shit. Pardon my French. But there are going to be there are a lot of people who have made a good living just cranking out mediocre, like stuff, middle of the road stuff. And then you, as in me, as in Alex, as in Matt, as in Kyle, all of us are going to have to step up our game and just be like, okay, well, you are going to do superb work now and separate yourself from the middle of the pack. And that's stuff that I've strived to do since the day I opened my shop and started up my business. And now it's like, I'm going to have to really lean into that and be like, okay, well, you can order from these people or order this product, or I can offer you my services. And it's something like, a couple of years ago, I had somebody that wanted lapel pins for like an award for their business for performers or whatnot. And they wanted like these $60 lapel pins that they were going to pay me to engrave. And I looked at it like an opportunity. Okay, well, as opposed to you buying these lapel pins and shipping them to me and me engraving them and charging you for that, how about I buy a sheet of silver, I cut these lapel pins out, I engrave them for you, I put a pin on the back, and I put them in a wooden presentation box for the same $60 that you were going to pay just to buy this lapel pin and have it shipped to me. And so like I was adding the added value of this is custom, like handmade, you know, and it comes in a presentation box and it's going to be laser engraved. Yeah, it's exactly. So like you're offering something that is like
mass
from
product.
scratch.
What's the word? Yeah, they use the in automobiles. It's oh, gosh, I can't remember the word, but it's like where you're making it by hand from scratch versus something that's like mass produced.
Let's just say artisan.
Yeah, like
handcrafted, all the stuff that the big words, the
yeah,
buzzwords.
yeah. It's like it's gonna bother me. I can't remember that name, but yeah, it's like this is a point where you can either kind of flounder because you're trying to do the same old thing that you've been doing to make money, or this is a point where we can all kind of say, okay, I have to kind of step up my game and start offering like a quality of service over, you know, a cheap product.
See, so, and then my
bespoke. That's exactly it.
Oh,
thank you
wow,
so much. Yeah, bespoke.
Fancy.
Yeah.
My brain goes the other way where like I would lean less and less away from working with individual people doing smaller orders. And I want to go
for sure.
I want to go do corporate. So like there's a lot of people in our like so a lot of people like us, and by us, I guess me and Kyle would be more like the us I'm talking about. We're like we don't have a shop per se, like an actual physical space that people can come in and visit and all that stuff. You guys both do, but long story short, my thing is I know some people who work in places where they need stuff. So if the individual money is drying up, like Alex said, then you need to start thinking about corporations. You need to think about schools. You need to think about churches, budgets. Places. Yeah,
schools are so huge, dude.
Yeah,
schools and so, like they have a budget and they have money already allocated toward that. So if you're gonna try and rely on something to keep your business open and keep making money, finding those people that already have money set aside for the services you can provide is going to be huge.
And to go to that real quick too, I had someone who messaged me in Discord this week and I wasn't able to get back to him. I think it was like last weekend I guess it would have been the weekend because today's Tuesday. And Miranda told me that they were trying to ping me on Facebook, which by the way, I've been like on Facebook less and less and less just because I've been busy with life. So go to the Discord, look at all the cool stuff there, message us if you need us. But to answer the question they asked, they said, hey, there's a local school district near both of us. I'm trying to get in with them. Do you know the way to get in with Pasco County Schools? And my answer, which I would have typed up, is I don't. But that's part of the issue that you have to overcome when you find these things. So number one, becoming a vendor with the state of Florida and getting that ID number is going to be the first thing I would do. Like check with your state and local school districts and stuff like that. By getting your vendor ID, having yourself set up with an LLC, all of this stuff, by the way, is in the video that I think I did. That was my first video, I think, right? Like how to do fundraising with schools. Way back in October of like 2019 or something, or 2020. But yeah, long story short, go call those places, find the information and head online, reach out to their, the people who do sourcing for them, the people who do purchasing for them. Like you can literally go on to school websites or county websites and just look up the person in charge of purchasing and call them and say, hey, I do these kind of things. I know that you need signs for your schools. I know you guys have plastic door numbers. I know that you guys have plaques that you give out every year. I mean, in our school district in Hillsborough, there is over 200 schools, and they all need stuff, right? So if you can get in with a handful of them, then that works. And then the other thing too is don't forget about like power companies, water companies, places that need signage. There's so many places, but you will have to get out of your comfort zone. They're not going to come to your website that you built. They're not going to look at your Shopify. They're not going to like,
Nope.
You have to go knock on doors or find people who work there. And those are the people who can help you. Just like,
Yep.
But you know,
I know that like
thing.
you and I, Matt, we're like very different dudes that do very different things in our shop. And I've always found, I know you're super good at that kind of shit. I've always found that I've had a much easier time separating individual people from their expendable income than separating committees from their expendable income. But that's just me. I've had like a completely different experience on that.
Yeah, you're good at like face-to-face talking to people. And I mean, I do okay with that. But my thing is if I can send a spreadsheet that says here's their cost and here's the items and here's when they'll be ordered by and here's if you do this, I'd rather put together like a packet and email it out because then I can send it to the next company, the exact same thing, change like 3 names. And I have no problem doing that for sure. So, and that's the thing though. So if you are trying to go from to a business, that might be what you have to do if you're trying to still maintain your status quo of income, you know, like just think differently.
Yeah, think differently.
Even
definitely
if that's
outside
not
the
for
box.
you, I mean, oh, sorry, I'm super laggy, Anthony. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, like, thinking outside the box right now is going to be so key. I know people that run laser businesses that have like super niched themselves out. And I think this is an opportunity for people to kind of reevaluate their business plan and say,
Absolutely.
okay, this is what I have been doing and it's been going okay. So you can like either dig into that or find something that's like really niched out in your area. Like right now, in the next couple months, there's going to be what they call the Tri-State Rodeo. It's a Iowa, Illinois, Missouri rodeo. And there's going to be a lot of like belt buckles and awards and different things like that. So if you find something like you can really like niche yourself out in, that is going to be relying on locally sourced materials. Like I can go down the street to a local bison and elk ranch that sells leather. So if I want to do a lot of leather work, I can get that leather sourced locally instead of trying to rely on something that may or may not come from China. I can go to places that sell rare metals if you wanted to get into the rare metal, like jewelry. And a lot of that stuff is still available here locally in the United States versus relying on foreign materials. So if you have an opportunity to look at something and pay attention to things that are going on around you and kind of try to niche into that to try and make some of that money back up that you might or might not be losing, then it's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah. And then I know we're talking about being like thrifty. So like my thing too is like using your materials better. Right. So like this is the kind of stuff where like looking at this, my wife would be like, why don't you throw that away? Because to me, this looks like a keychain right here. This looks like a keychain. This looks like a name tag.
You should have flipped that half circle upside down so it can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of those things where like I made this when basically it didn't matter to me, but I saw how much was left. And I'm like, man, I gotta like save that. But this is one of those things where like, even if you just cut blanks out of it to save for later when you think about what you're going to do. And that's what I need to do. I need to go ahead and cut the blanks and sit here one day, spend the time to do little stuff like that, because a keychain can be $5 and that was trash for a minute ago. Like earrings can be, like Anthony said, if you are really cool and crafty and you can come up with some really cool, like here comes the rodeo stuff, right? I didn't know that 3 months ago. It wasn't in my brain, but I know that I can find like a cool design for like maybe like a cowboy who's like on a bull or on a horse. And then there's or a cowgirl, whatever, like 2 boots, right, for earrings. And now you're selling that for $10 for literally the amount of plastic you could sell for a $5 keychain. Why not, right? So thinking about those different pieces of market, like Anthony was saying, like
this is to where the conversation ended up going pre-show, where we were talking about the fact that we are going to be largely moving from a value added kind of business model where you get something, you add a little value to it, and then it leaves, to a more of a production model where you're literally like generating something from like a raw material. And I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's a crazy approach, whether it's your scrap acrylic that you're cutting boot earrings out of, or a pile of silver that you got from
Yeah.
you know, like a scrap bin, and you melt down on your own into like a sheet. You can do that. That's totally doable. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. The point is, like, you're gonna have to start creating things. And part of what sucks about tariffs is that, you know, 100 years ago, maybe, if we had 104% tariff on a foreign country that was doing manufacturing, people would be like, oh, well, I'll just get it here. But the United States doesn't really manufacture all that much anymore. We're not, we do a lot of like defense shit, you know, and like aerospace stuff. And that's like really a lot of it. And then there's like agriculture. And if you're not doing one of those two things, then you're probably not getting it from the United States, especially on a consumer level, right? Especially on a consumer level. So when you are looking around, you're like, okay, well, I'll just buy US made goods instead. Like, that's so not a lot of things. And so
sometimes there's not an option.
Sometimes there's not an option. A lot of the time, I might even venture to say majority of the time, there's not.
I have a good example of that.
So you will have to shift. Hold on, let me just put a bow on it, Kyle, and then it's all you, buddy. You have to shift from this mindset that you're gaining something, adding value on top of it, and then pushing it out the door, to like you are creating something, period, and pushing it out the door. The creating starts in your shop, right? Rather than like adding value to something that's already been produced. You are now the producer.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get to with the like the lapel pin store is like instead of taking something that would be purchased somewhere else, like I'm creating the thing that's going to be sold. And I made a lot more money off of that by spending a little bit more money out of pocket, but also like I just made more money off of it because like I took $40 worth of materials and made $60 off of it instead of them spending $60 and me getting a couple dollars off of, you know, engraving it. So it's just kind of that mentality of like, okay, I can do this for you and engrave this thing, or I can create something new for you with the materials I have available to me. And you can have something that's like they mentioned before, like bespoke, like you have something that's created from scratch. So it has like more meaning to you and the person that you're giving this award to or whatever. Like I had somebody that they hit me up today on Facebook Messenger, and they're like, hey, we want to do an award for this event we have coming up that we want to kind of have like a regional significance to. So something that kind of ties into our community here that has a rich history. And so instead of buying something from China for X number of dollars, I can find materials locally that actually will mean something to people who are receiving this award because it means something to our community. And so not only can I probably charge a premium for that because it is locally sourced and has a higher significance to people that are receiving the award, but it just kind of has more of that emotional like grab to it too. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, if there's like plastic lawn chairs and then you look over to the left and it's like wood lawn chairs that cost 4 times as much and it says made with locally sourced timber, like people froth at the mouth over that shit. It's the same chair, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter.
Your butt goes on it.
It definitely, there's like a sentimental level to it that is a lot of people I don't think will acknowledge or maybe aren't even aware of, but definitely is a factor at play here.
Absolutely. What were you going to say then, Kyle?
Kyle had some thoughts.
So
we kind of blew around him.
Here's a good example. So what you said before, Anthony, where there just simply isn't a insulated tumbler manufacturer in the United States. Pretty much all of them are in like Asia or Southeast Asia.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. So to add to that, I had somebody who said they messaged me on Discord yesterday. And they said, why do I even have to worry about tariffs? Because I just get all of my stock from Target and Walmart. And I couldn't help but giggle because
me too, just now. Sorry.
Yeah. It's very short-sighted.
Just because you're buying it.
It makes me sad that people
you're walking into a store and you're buying it. It doesn't mean that it's made here. It just means it's being sold here. And the unfortunate thing is at the end of the day, the person importing the goods are responsible for the tariff. So if, let's say, Walmart is reselling something that an importer has imported, yeah, there might be a like a contract to sell at a specific price. But if they can't provide the product at that price without going negative, they're just not going to provide the product. So either that product is going to cease to be imported, or they're going to rework a deal where the price is going to go up. And that means you're either not going to be able to buy the thing that you were buying at Walmart, which is notorious for those kind of contracts, or the price is just going to go up to whatever the tariff is going to affect it by. Because companies that import goods and then resell them at Walmart or resell them at Target or whatever, they're not making like a 1,000,000,000% profit on it. They're making small margins because they're selling it in bulk to a store that's going to sell it by individual to the customer. So if they're all of a sudden having to pay, instead of 20 or 33%, which is the range of most taxes from China, in terms of import duty, and it's now going up to 104%, that is an unprofitable business to be in. If you're selling it at the same price, they will literally go bankrupt. I can't think of a single importer that sells stuff in bulk like that and would still be profitable. So there's my example. Just because you're buying it here doesn't mean it's made here. If it's coming in through the border, if it's coming in through a boat or a plane, and it's from a country that we don't have an amazing deal with for trade right now, which I don't think there is one anymore at this point, it's being affected probably.
Well, and then to add to that too, so one of the things that people, and like when I say it makes me sad that people don't understand it, I'm definitely not like trying to take a stab at anyone, but it's just one of those things that in our lifetime, we haven't really dealt with tariffs because we've gone to what's called a globalized market system, where all of the stuff like everything in our shops, everything in our houses, everything deals with stuff from all over the world, right? And increasingly, America has exported the production, like that's what we've done, because we can get cheaper labor, which turns our costs down, which makes the end products cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. The problem that I've seen, I guess, and obviously I'm not some kind of like politician or lawyer or whatever that knows everything, but the thing that I've heard people say is, well, this will make people buy more American goods. And while that is true, they're also going to have to raise their costs for a couple of things. Number one, operations cost money for production. So they're going to have to raise their costs because probably the machines that they use to create those American-made goods are not made in America because production stuff is not made here anymore. But that's not what we do. So no matter what cost, even on things that are locally created, United States goods are going to increase. And so no matter what, across the board, the increases are going to go there. And those people now are kind of stuck in the same boat we are, where they have to say, okay, we don't want to gouge customers because we want to say American made, American produced, American sourced. So that's one of those things too, where I've heard a lot of people, and that's I guess the problem that I've heard is people are going, well, I'm just going to buy American made stuff, but those prices are going to increase too because they have to. Machines break, parts are needed to replace them. There's all kinds of oils and different kinds of lubricants.
Yeah, a lot of the raw resources that are used to make those things come from other countries too.
Yeah, so it's just that's just one of those things. And on top of that, labor costs might go up because to maintain labor, you might have to raise, give people a raise a little bit to help offset cost of living and all that stuff. So it's just one of those things where like you hope, and this is why we live in a capitalist market. So the other thing is, if I see that that this Gatorade is being sold for $7, but I make the same product and I've sold it for $3 for the past forever, I can mark it up $5. You're still saving $2 as the consumer now, but I'm making $2 more. So that's one of those things where how are they going to influence the market on those items that we can also find if you do find a new source? So just another thing to think about.
And just ensuring the
sourcing
endpoint quality of the work that you're creating, regardless of whether you're just taking something, engraving on it, or creating something from nothing, is just a way to set yourself apart and kind of insulate yourself from stuff like this. Is like, if you can provide something that has the emotional intangible value to the end user, and you can do it with stuff that's readily available to you, it's going to make you more personally successful and just better insulated as a business.
Well, that's really why I like the kind of like the chase the secondhand market idea. I think, and you can do that in large quantities. You don't have to do that onesie twosie. I know like everybody's immediate thought is like onesie twosies, but there are just like boxes of things discarded all the time. You just need to know where to look, and that's a whole podcast episode for another time. And
there's like those like Facebook groups for like offloads or whatever, like where people have
totally, dude, totally.
Where they have 55 metal wallets that they want to offload, and so like you can try and take advantage of that
1,000%.
Yeah, and I mean today's market, you might pay a little bit more than you would have 2 months ago, but it still might be a better value proposition than trying to order it straight from the manufacturer now.
And I'm just like the thing I really want to drive. You want to talk about insulation, dude? Like that insulates you very well.
Yeah,
that makes me nervous for scams too, though. The likelihood of people who are trying to like rip people off in those groups are very likely too. So making sure that people know them, that they are reputable,
have a history,
make sure the groups that you're in, you know what the trade rules and policies are, and always, for the love of God, use a credit card that you can then say nope and get your money back. Don't ever,
or like find that shit around you. You can find that shit around you too, dude. Like this whole thing. If we're gonna do anything as a result of this, it should be trying to strengthen our local communities. That's the things on a large stage might be looking like they're all on fire and it's the end of the world right now. But if we all just kind of take a step back and we focus on smaller local communities, our local businesses, our schools, like Matt was saying, like those are the kind of areas that we should really be focused on right now, because that's where we actually have an ability to make a change, right? That's the easiest source for us to go to and take advantage of, and C, it helps out your neighbors when you do, and it helps out you as a business owner when you're making advances that way. So, I really think that's kind of the takeaway here. And I think that if you go into it with that mindset, it really is kind of like a win-win-win for everyone. And it's cyclical. When you put into your community, even as a business owner making a profit, like that's going to come back to you one way or another, where it's not if you're, offloading your cash into like some company based out of Alaska and you live in Florida, or like some province in China when you live in Germany, so this is an opportunity for everyone to help strengthen their local communities by maybe reassessing the way that you do business, reassessing how you source things, and reassessing your business model if required to, reduce, reuse, and recycle. I that's kind of my takeaway.
I think it's really like an excellent point. Like I did a plaque recently for a church that was like a 8x10 piece of walnut, and I needed a brass plaque that I got from customengravingplates.com. And the local guy that I got a piece of actual like walnut that was really nice was a woodworker from the town that I live in, versus where I could go to Menards and buy a piece of acacia that I was going to have to use a walnut stain on to make it look like walnut, that actually would have ended up costing more than the piece of authentic walnut that I got from my local guy. So if you try to make those kinds of connections with local business owners and say, okay, here's what I do, how can I kind of supplement what you do? And then you can supplement what I do, and we can kind of like work back and forth where you do some woodworking for me. And then if you have some woodworking that you do that you want laser engraved, that I can do that stuff for you and you can sell it. And then we're like doing a kind of mutually beneficial, almost bartering, but with actual money going back and forth in a lot of cases too.
Dude, so bartering is so underrated. The amount of money that I have not spent on like local people services that I've met doing this job, just trading them like literally shit that has taken me like an hour at a laser. I've saved like hundreds or thousands of dollars on shit like custom fab stuff.
Anytime a service comes to my house, I automatically am like, hey, do you want to come inside for a drink of water real quick? Like anybody who does like outside work in my house or anything like that, I'm like, hey, you want a drink of water? Come on inside. Oh, the garage? Oh, that's just my laser shop. What? Oh, the door's open.
Yeah.
Let's go out there.
Mhm.
Oh shit, there's a hat with your name on it. That's so weird.
Crazy. How'd that happen?
Exactly. And then they're like, how much
Yeah.
would a 25 of those cost? I'm like, you tell me.
Yeah. So I think that's just like we're gonna have to diversify in a lot of those ways, and just like kind of like try and use local resources maybe more than the usual paths of AliExpress or Temu or whatever it is that we're using right now, and just say, hey, there's a local guy that I can help feed his kids while he helps me feed mine.
So
I
this
wanted
is
to
where-
I wanted to mention this earlier too. Well, go ahead, Matt, if you
Yeah,
have
these two things real fast. And so talking about pivoting, that's where, like, I know people saw the sublimation videos a long time ago. Like, when you look at like things that you can do differently or things that you can do cheaply, sublimation, I think I paid like that we got it sent to us, but the sublimation printing is a really cheap way to help raise what your shop can do and then offset cost too, because the ink is like $100, way cheaper than a laser tube, and the return on your investment is way cheaper too. Yes, you need blanks, but those are very numerous. You can find them in lots of places. So just saying, thinking about what you can do to expand what services your shops offer. That's where you can look at shirts like the sublimation print. I made shirts for my kids' birthdays. Actually, the boy's birthday is tomorrow. So I made them more shirts. The shirts were $4 for a blank, even if those went up. Like, I made, like, you can usually charge $20 to $25 for like custom t-shirts with names and stuff. And it's literally just using like Adobe to create some stuff. It's really quick and easy. So that's one thing. The other thing is working, like Anthony said, with those people. You might completely pivot your business 100%. I would look at that guy and say, hey man, I know a ton of people who need walnut. Let's talk about how I can get some walnut from you, and I would like to sell your walnut for you. You store it here. I'll tell you what they need. We'll make like I would literally work with that guy to send everything across the entire country, and let's make a fortune together.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Mikey Garrett brings up in chat, material costs are only one side of the coin. Customers are going to have far less money to spend on, as the price of everyday necessities go up. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, and Anthony was talking about, and this kind of comes full circle. Anthony was talking about like having to make better stuff for the same cost, essentially, because what's going to happen, and this is one of our only weapons against that, Mikey, and we kind of alluded to this earlier. I think one of our only weapons against that is that we can, for the same price or slightly more than Mr. Middle of the Road is selling you his middle of the road product, generate something original and authentic, and increase our value offer. You know what I mean? And I think that's like really where all these kind of tips and little factors that we're talking about throughout the show tonight, like when you bring them all together, you find yourself with the ability to generate something rather than just adding value to something. And I think that that is a really strong play against the fact that people have less money to spend, especially when our businesses are dependent on expendable income. Yeah. Right. So if they have less to spend, you have to give them something more worthwhile to spend on, not more things, not more a larger quantity of shit to spend their money on. You know what I mean? Because that's how that mindset is going to shift. And that's what tonight's show is all about. So thanks for bringing that up, Mikey. I totally agree. And that's why we're here having this conversation today.
Yeah. If you can just add a more valuable end product to what they're asking for the same or maybe a little bit more money, then their perceived value is going to be like, oh, okay, well, you can do this, and it's going to be something different from what the usual is, and it's going to kind of set you apart from your peers that might just still be trying to churn out the same garbage for slightly more money or a lot more money because of the tariffs that are being implemented.
That's what's going to happen, right? The people that aren't comfortable taking risks, don't want to try something new, or don't want to pivot, are just going to keep making the same stuff for twice as much money, right? Exactly. So you can beat that. That is a beatable strategy for sure. There's 100%. No doubt about it in my mind. And you've given multiple examples tonight, especially Anthony, about situations where you've done that and done it profitably. So it's not something that can't be done.
No,
I
not at
don't
all.
think that there's an argument that can't be done at all.
Mhm.
I do want to swing around. We've got about 10 minutes left, fellas. It's a good topic tonight.
Swing.
We're having a good chat, but we do have a couple questions in chat, and I don't want to lightning round them if we don't have to. So I'm going to just kind of spin the ship around here for a second, and let's cover some of these questions. First one from Noah. Thank you, Kyle. Technically, if you had someone in Canada that could order from China and then ship to you in the U.S., would you be avoiding the 104% tariffs? I think that's called smuggling.
No, that's just an importing and exporting business. Like they literally do it all over the place.
If you're gonna resell it, I think that's one thing. But at the end of the day, it kind of depends on what kind of import tariff you have into Canada, and then
It's called smuggling.
compounding that into whatever tariff we would have to pay to get it in the U.S. Is it
You
worth,
probably also have to do
worth
it
that
like,
added shipping?
We've never had to deal with that here as much because we've never had these things. But so basically, one of my hobbies before I got into this during COVID, everybody had like their hobbies that were interesting. Mine was exotic fragrance, right? Like literally stuff that you can't get anywhere in the world. So like really bespoke is literally the name of some of the fragrances I have. And I'm talking like perfumes that cost like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And basically, yeah. And so there's this thing called the International Fragrance Foundation, the IFF, where they literally you cannot ship certain things to certain countries from A to B. So they literally have companies that are like, and I'm talking like Liv Taylor, like those huge companies that are multi-billion-dollar conglomerates. They ship from country A where it's produced to country B, and they ship it in huge bulk. And then they ship from B to C, kind of like how you do. Like there's certain companies here that people will buy from China. They'll buy on Temu and they'll buy 3,000. Like, I mean, kind of like what Anthony's done. He's bought a few key items at a price, and then he ships them here and then says, okay, what can I do to help all the people who make stuff and also make like a little bit for myself because I got to feed kids and stuff. That's what they do. So they literally will buy stuff at price A, import it, price it at A plus X, and they ship it to you, and then you pay that lower import cost. So that's literally just an importing and exporting company. And I'm sure that somebody that when we talk about pivoting, someone somewhere who has the capital is going to say, let me do this. And so, but you got to kind of have money to make money, or you have to get into groups where you guys together can combined make huge purchases. But I do know that shipping a crate across the ocean, I think it was like $12,000 the last time I looked into it. It's just one of those things for like a whole crate. So, you know, who knows if that's going to go up with costs. So just saying.
Yeah. Also, I see somebody saying
topic.
Technically if it's a gift that's paid, it would work. No, gifts are still tariffed.
Yeah, that's where you get into the weird stuff like Alex said.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're following the proper legal channels.
That'd be tariff avoidance, bruh.
Of all the federal agencies that have had their budgets cut lately, Customs is not one of them. So you know,
Customs
proceed with caution.
Is where the U.S. is looking to make their money back.
It's gonna be a knock at your door and it's just ice, and you're like, oh god.
I know they're looking. Ship one tumbler at a time. Bensom says was quoted $3,000 for a 50-watt fiber. Looks like I won't be getting it now. Not, yeah. I mean, no.
That fiber went from 3,000 plus, or maybe shipping was included.
Try to find if you still
with a
really
$1,000 import to
and I don't
6,000.
We could talk about this for a long time tonight, and I don't want to because we're short on time. But if you need to buy a laser right now, I think one of your best bets will be the budget companies that have U.S. subsidiaries headquartered here that still have stock that hasn't been impacted yet. Your options are going to be like EMP, right? Or
lasers only, maybe.
maybe
I know a lot of their stuff
only.
comes from China.
Ocean USA, like the Ocean USA,
the whole thing.
Every fiber laser is going to come from China in some part. Or
I mean, yeah, but
right,
they
but
probably still have stuff right now.
That's what I'm saying, because like things like com marker, you order a brand new com marker right now, it's going to leave a warehouse in China tomorrow, right? Yep. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a warehouse here in the US where they've already bought stock at a certain price. And if you're lucky, or they have a subsidiary who has a warehouse that's already here in the US that's got a bunch of lasers in it, if you're lucky, you'll pick it up for the price you would have a month or two ago.
It won't last much longer.
It will not, because stock on this shit rotates so fast. I saw another comment. While we're in here, What about all that stuff in Amazon warehouses across the world? Can Amazon just transfer it to another marketplace with their own internal transfers?
Is he frozen or not answering?
I'm thinking
Dramatic
that's not the one that I
pause.
thought that I
Here's-
started, but it's
the
relevant.
thing.
Somebody in chat said, before I lose this thought, somebody in chat said like it's bullshit that Amazon is going to start charging more for all the stuff they have sitting around in their warehouses. But that's the thing, like the lasers, well, they're also not sitting around. Like their turnover, the amount of goods that ships in and out of those warehouses every day is astronomical and unbelievable.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
it's
anything that's still here isn't going to be here very long, and it's going to happen faster than I think anybody's ready to perceive or accept. So like that stuff moves quick. Turnover is high. We are a consumer country. We consume.
Very
That's what
much,
we
yeah.
do. So I think there's gonna be some whiplash. Anyway, that's the full thought. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that was literally what I was going to say is like, even if
okay.
they, like someone right beneath that comment a minute ago, I saw it said, that wouldn't be playing fair. Bro, like what? Like their job is to make money for the people who are stockholders. They don't really care about your feelings. They never have.
Yeah.
My thought too about all of that is I'm wondering how many people, so like when we sell stuff and we buy them from our distributors, I'm wondering how many people are going to be coming to, and this is where we talk about like upping your laser game. Who's going to be taking in stuff? Because for a long time, a lot of us are like, I don't do things that aren't things that I purchased myself. I won't do one-offs. I don't. And it's going to be one of those things where you might have to say like, oh, that's an Amazon cup. Okay, I guess I could work with that. Like, because people are shopping for deals, man.
This is going to be a guy on the corner of an alley in a trench coat being like, need an Amazon cup.
I got some.
You need a dozen tumblers.
you need some cork coasters? I got cork coasters over
Anthony,
here.
real quick, lean up to your camera with the new mustache that you're rocking and ask me if I need a dozen tumblers.
You need a dozen tumblers.
I love it.
Oh God, that was a little Stallone.
He has practiced this.
I got what you're looking for. Come see me in this
that was
dark
so
alley
looking
over
for.
here.
So here's the thing with Amazon transferring to like other country warehouses, they still have to deal with duties.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't just take stock from like the Mexico warehouse and move it up here to Florida and resell whatever they had here without paying tariffs on it. That's why they have warehouses in every country they ship in, and that's why they have Amazon Canada, Amazon
The containers
US,
physically
Amazon
get
Mexico.
stopped on their way in by people with guns who write down what's in them. Like that's what, right? Like that's
there's
it's a problem.
paperwork. They still have to pay for moving stuff, and also in reference to the turnover in Amazon warehouses, Amazon is literally notorious for deleting stuff out of their warehouse and dumping it into like dumpsters and just yeeting it.
This is another,
like if stuff doesn't move, they don't keep it in their warehouse because it's costing them money and space.
So this is another thing too where Kyle's not wrong. Another thing that they do is you guys can buy pallets. So if you've never seen, like, I don't know if any of you guys ever have like the treasure shops or whatever in your in your, like they've all popped up.
Oh yeah.
Because what
the Amazon return pallets.
Yeah, well, literally, exactly. So what happens is all the stuff that you've bought, let's say that you bought a cake pan and it had a dent in it that was the size of a nickel, and you were like, I paid $12.95 for that. I want my money. You know, whatever. You send it back. Amazon just chucks it into it. That's what they do. That's by they, I mean the people who talk like that. So what they do is they toss it into a pallet, and it literally just gets put into a tower. They stack it up, they wrap it up, and then they send it out for, they literally go by weight. So they weigh the thing and they go, okay, it costs this much to ship. There's this much crap on it. Let's say $2,000. And there's actually websites you can bid on these pallets too. And so you don't know what you're getting. And that's what those treasure shops are. Like my daughter is like, Daddy, they have $5 Saturdays. And so what happens is anything you know, they have the $5 bin, the $10 bins, whatever.
Yep.
And that's one thing that you can do. You basically say, I want things that are from this realm of goods. So maybe you want kitchen appliances, you know, and you can kind of click inside the boxes and they basically, that's how it gets shipped to you. So one more thing that might work for you. I don't know.
There was a
Yeah.
company that was right next door to Laser Everything when we first moved into the basement that just fucking bought those and then
Mhm.
sold that shit on
Yeah.
eBay. That's
Yes.
all they did. And when they couldn't move shit, they threw it out in our dumpster and we'd like
Yep.
root through it. And it was, I mean, like there was rarely anything good back there.
Sometimes
Just shit
okay.
like there. I remember once we had like, it was an olive oil day. And there were just like 50,000 bottles of olive oil in the dumpster. I mean,
In
like
the
just
Florida heat,
bizarre
that would be
random shit.
Yeah, you'll get like crazy shit like with jump houses and just like stuff where if you're near an Amazon,
Oh, they're
Yeah,
right down the
dude.
street from us.
and you'll find just like random if you're near an
Bounce
Amazon
house.
warehouse and they just don't have any use for it, or you get people that buy stuff from these returns. It's like it's another aspect of like utilizing your local resources to maximize your profitability as a business owner. So
Yeah.
How
Really
else we got?
quick, let's
can't
just
really
wrap the rest
laser
of
olive
these.
oil.
Benson, should I order a bunch of made in the USA stickers from China now before the price goes up?
Only
too
if
late.
you import them through Canada.
I'm fairly
It-
certain it's too late.
Make them yourself.
It's too late because so here's the
Too late.
thing. Yeah, like if the tariffs go into effect at midnight or whatever it is,
That wasn't a real question.
if you order it now and it comes tomorrow, if it's going through the port tomorrow, it's going to get whacked with the tariffs. So
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They'll just bill you. They'll just fucking bill you, or they'll keep it and they'll tell you
they'll
that you
hold
can't
it at
have
the
it
port
until you pay your
until
bill.
you pay. Yeah.
So
Yep.
there's just like it's not like, oh, if I order before midnight, like that ship has sailed. It's done. It was done a week ago. It's too
It
late.
needed to
What's
land
funny
at
is
the
it
port
ship really
yesterday.
did sail.
Yeah.
Literally.
ICMP Echo, I'm moving us along. Even OMTech or Epilogue remanufacture lasers from foreign parts.
Yeah.
Far more true for OMTech than it is for Epilogue, but both are true.
Well, 100% of tech parts come from China.
Yeah,
Analog is probably like 20 or 30% or something.
I would
but
agree with that. Yeah. just
Most of your
based on
laser
what I've seen.
sources are going to be coming in. BJJCZ is in China, correct? So
Yep.
your control card's going to come from there. 99.9% of your power supplies are going to be coming from China. So yeah, you might buy from somebody that's made in the USA, but it's assembled from parts that are created in foreign
If you want to
countries.
buy a 100% manufactured in the United States of America laser system, go hang out on the Sinrad and Coherent websites and tell me how that goes.
Yeah.
Make
Enjoy
sure
your-
you
And I
are
hope
ready
you're
to
ready to
take out
take
a
a
second
mortgage out.
mortgage.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
Last
of
for
you guys have been
tonight,
living high on the hog with 2 kidneys for your whole life. Let's
be,
go.
be engraved. Yeah, I just ordered 800 cups from Alibaba, 200 golf divot tools with markers. I know the prices are about to go up. Hopefully they made it through the port before midnight, sir. Otherwise, the prices are going to go up for you by the time it makes it to you. And
Yeah.
I think we've blown
I-
through just about everything that we have
I
in
think
chat.
I just thought of a nightmare situation.
What's up?
You order $100,000 Trotec.
And then it imports from
Like one of their other manufacturing centers.
Oof.
Yeah. That would hurt.
Yeah. I'm sure that's gonna hit. Yeah, I couldn't think of any others. Trotec, Laguna, Thunder. all
Trotec
of
is
them.
like extraordinarily expensive.
Can I just say real quick
Yeah.
for the 4 of us to just solve tariffs like we did this hour? I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, we did. We solved tariffs. I
Like
think
a lot
we
of
did.
people are going to struggle if they
Solve
don't hear
5.
this episode. Yeah, right up top.
Yep, up top.
Just saying.
Boom.
Air 5,
I
I
bruh.
think that's called a clap, but yeah.
Listen, guys, we're out. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the
1,
Laser Source
Steve.
podcast. Remember, this is not an ad. I'm just really proud of it, like I am all my videos. New episode drop tomorrow. We're unboxing like 150 pounds worth of shit from Johnson Plastics Plus. It's all dope. Covers a wide range of different materials. Rhiannon's in it. She's really funny to listen to, awkwardly commenting on the things as I'm pulling them out of the box. It's a good time.
What's in the box?
Yeah, what's in the box? We made that joke at one point. I don't know if
I
it actually
appreciate
made the
that.
cut, but it's in there. It goes up tomorrow morning. I think it just needs to be uploaded at this point, so you'll probably see it around 10. So make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so you get notified when it goes live. And you'll get notified the next time we go live here on the Laser Source podcast. It's Tuesdays at 9. If you haven't already, make sure you go visit Anthony over at Beam It Up Laserworks on YouTube. He still hasn't posted his video about lenses yet, but maybe he will in the nearish future. He definitely is going to be more likely to if he wakes up and has a bunch of subscribers tomorrow. So go subscribe over there. Kyle sells infinitely repeating digital patterns, great for doing full tumbler wraps and such. On his Etsy shop. I'm sure Kyle will duly add a link to his Etsy shop in the description so that you can actually find it. But I believe it's Kyle's Laser Stuff. Is that right, Kyle?
Yep, kyleslaserstuff.etsy.com. And if you use the link that'll add in the description that gives you the LE discount code, you'll save, I think it's 15%.
We love that. And Matt does stuff mostly unrelated to.
I'm usually just making a ton of stuff. Honestly,
Matt's like, I'm too busy to make money to share a project with you guys.
No, I'm literally making projects. Like,
I'm just making it.
It's okay. You never asked what we were doing this week. You missed
that is so the less traveled road. Where did you get that? I just noticed.
I love that sign, dude. It's amazing.
I literally took the road less traveled. It was a street sign. I wanted it, so I got tools and took it, and that's all made all the difference. So but it was also more than 10 years ago, so you can't whatever. Yeah, but no, like literally, I've just been doing all kinds of stuff.
Can't confirm or deny it. It's true. I was there on the road less traveled.
Need a 3/8 inch wrench. That's all you need.
That's all we got, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Smash the like button on your way out. Leave a comment if you're feeling saucy. I really want to talk to you guys more about this. And we'll be on the Discord, Facebook, LMA. If you want to support the channel, masters.lasereverything.net. We're done. Have a great night. See you next week. Watch the new episode tomorrow.
Pew, 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 pew.